Hi, this is Anna Imagination with a Healing Garden. Welcome to Shifting Perspectives. This is out to emotional prosthetics. If you are an emotional prosthetic, in most cases, you are probably an internalizer. Not in all cases, in most cases. If you are an emotional prosthetic, there is one massive toxic belief that is caught inside of your belief system that needs to be addressed. Happiness comes from the four pillars of happiness. The four pillars are, as we discussed earlier, love, being loved, feeling control, having your authority, having a place of belonging, and feeling safety. When you have these four things in place, you have happiness. If you are an emotional prosthetic, the person in your life who is abusing you is trying to use you for these four elements. You cannot provide these four elements for anybody. The four elements come from within inside of you, within your authenticity. It comes from 100% you having the first five core ethics in place. If you do not have the first five core ethics of the stages of growth in place, then you are not going to have the ability or the tools to get the four pillars of happiness. People who abuse project that requirement onto an emotional prosthetic. In most cases, you. And what ends up happening is you take on the responsibility of their happiness. This is not going to work. This is going to fail. It's not possible because what they require for happiness and what you require for happiness is the five stages of ethics, the five ethics that are pulled from the stages of growth. If you lack these five stages, then you are not going to be able to access the four pillars of happiness. Likewise, neither is your abuser. As a result, you have a choice. And your choice is either take responsibility for their happiness, which you cannot do, because that means they are required to go through the stages of growth inside of themselves. They have to overcome their fears. So do you. They have to transverse into the unknown, the self, and they have to do the mental work to locate these five stages of growth to get the five ethics. And then they will have happiness. You have nothing to do with this system. You have absolutely nothing to do with this. You are just an entity, a thing that they have projected onto, making their happiness all about you. And that is where you require a boundary to literally put up between you and them and say, that's not my problem. You are not allowed to make your problem about me anymore. You need to go deal with your happiness and your problem on your own and leave me out of it. This is the biggest problem that that internalizers and that emotional prosthetics face is the ability to stand up to the people who are abusing them and you tell them that they are not allowed to abuse you anymore, that they are not allowed to use you as their emotional prosthetic for their happiness. They are not going to be happy. It's not possible because they are not doing the work required to get their happiness. They are basically wasting time in the mud and they're dragging you into the mud with them. So whenever a person seeks out happiness, they have pretty much two options. They can either do the work and get it done, or they can sit in the mud and complain. These are not happy people because they haven't done the work to be happy. What they usually do is drag people into the mud with them. Now, you don't have to sit in the mud. This is your authority. You have the ability, once you put the five elements in place. Wow, this is so logical, and I'm loving how this is all coming together. Once you have the ability to sit down and go through all five stages, this is the process, the same process they need to go through, where you literally put in place the five ethics. And once you do that, you will have the authority to stand up out of the mud and go, you know what? I'm not going to sit in the mud anymore, and you need to keep your shit off of me. See ya. The concept of, but they're going to be mad at me. They're not going to be mad at you. That's internalizing their problem. They are unhappy, period. They are unhappy, period. Just like you are unhappy. The difference is they project their unhappiness and they make it about you. You need to make sure that you keep that off of you and say, no, you are not making your unhappiness about me. Your unhappiness is about your relationship with you and your 5 ethics. I'm going to pursue my 5 ethics and I'm going to take care of my happiness, get the 5 ethics so I can have the 4 pillars of happiness. That is the conversation that needs to take place. Now, the problem with all of this is because we are not taught boundaries, this ends up being a cycle. Boundaries is literally the only way out of this. It's a combination of doing the work on those 5 ethics, getting in place those 4 pillars of happiness, and using your boundaries to keep their shit off of you. Taking a look here. That's what I wanted to say. You are not the answer to other people's happiness. That's what I wanted to say. You are not the answer to other people's happiness. You are the answer to your own happiness. Period. That is really the toxic belief that you need to get corrected inside of your head. You do not hold the answer to other people's happiness. Other people do not hold the answer to your happiness. Happiness is not something you can pursue outside. It is not something that people can use you to get. Happiness is inside of you. 5 ethics to create and establish 4 pillars of happiness. There is no other way. Now, what are you going to do? If you love shit like this, like, subscribe, follow, comment below. Let me know what part of the show resonated with you. And I am building my community. If you want to join my community, take a look at the city directory below. Take a look at the 4 pillars in which I offer, and take as many or as little as you would like. You can also be a visitor. Thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.